Chick walks by, you wish you could sex her, but they're selling on the wall like you was one nectar. That's just function, hot gas punching, food is served and your stove cold munching. Music comes on and people start to dance, but then they ain't soon and they split your pants. A girl starts talking, guys start talking, sits down next to you and starts talking. Says she wanna dance, cause she likes the groove, so come on, fat so and just bust the move. She wanna dance, cause she likes the groove, so come on, she wanna dance, she wanna dance, cause she likes the groove, so come on, she wanna dance.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hypetrain podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Corey, the co-founder of the Yokai Watch fan club, which is currently one member. It's just me. I'm the only one who liked that game.
Oh, yeah,
So,
I don't even know what that is. All
Put it
right.
on screen. Here it is. Wow.
Ooh.
Like Pokemon, but
Something for me to Google later. The Hype Train, usually we review the latest and greatest in trailers for movies, TV shows, video games. The Hype Train's going on a little detour here to promote some maybe some hidden gems or movies that are personally to us we think didn't get enough credit to audiences. So we're trying to get the word out there and show people some good stuff, some recommendations from the Hype Train to you. So let's just get into it here. Corey, this is your trailer, so why don't you intro this bad boy?
all right, guys, before we get this trailer going, just a little side note. This is a foreign film, so there will be subtitles. So if you really want to know what's going on in this trailer, please keep your eyes glued to the screen. The crew of a horror web series travels to an abandoned asylum for a live broadcast. It soon encounters much more than expected as it moves deeper inside this nightmarish old building in Gonjiam Haunted Asylum.
여기 어떻게 들어온 거야? 여기 아무래도 400이온 것 같아.
여기 사람이 들어가도 되는 거야, 차가?
고프로는 두 사람당 한 대씩 지급될 거예요.
여기가 이 친구 들어가는 곤지암 정문이야.
들어가면
죽는다.
곤지암 공포체험 지금 시작합니다.
귀신 살고 있대잖아.
체험에 앞서 방송 순서를 간략히 설명해드릴게요.
여기 다른 데랑 레벨이 좀 다른 것 같아.
여기 지금 우리 말고 다른 데 있는 거 아니야? 인터넷에서 나온 게 진짜예요.
여기 뭐야?
지금 일어나고 있는 거 진짜야. 우리 나가야 돼.
뭐가? 대장 어딨어?
And that was Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. I'm going to kick this off because I'm the one who picked this trailer. This is easily the scariest movie I've ever seen. And I'm the horror fan of the group. I go out of my way to watch horror movies, whether or not they had good reputation or bad reputation. I just like to be scared. And this is the first movie in a while that I remember being physically shaken, like by the imagery that had been on screen, which is really saying something considering how desensitized we all are, like in the world right now.
I'm not afraid anymore.
I got a little bit of trivia. I'm gonna run through it. If you miss anything I say, you can catch it on their IMDb page because that's where I'm yanking it from. So just shortly before the theatrical release of Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, the owner of the actual asylum filed a lawsuit against the film being shown in theaters, claiming that the film was having negative effects on the sale of the building. However, a sole court in late March 2018 ruled in favor of the film being shown. So the whole premise for this movie is based around the fact that this was a legitimate, like, haunted, or in quotes, haunted building in Korea. In 2012, CNN Travel did make a documentary of like the 7 freakiest places on Earth, and this actual facility in Gonjiam, Korea, was voted number 1 or one of them. So I didn't know that the first couple times I've seen this movie. I've seen it like 10 times because I'm just such a big fan, and it still like creeps me out even during showings now. And I'll probably watch it later just because talking about it makes me super excited about it. But that's why I picked this. This whole hidden gems train is a fun concept for us to start doing, because it's another way for us to show to you guys, the listeners, some of our personal favorite things or weird things that we've happened to stumble across in our 30-some years of existence.
Something.
So the last thing I have to say before I kick it to Sanford is something that's very popular, especially in Korean, Japanese, Chinese horror films. To add to the authenticity and realism of a film is the actors in the movie will actually use their actual names. Only two characters in this movie, or two actors in this movie, didn't do that, and that was Yi Wan Mun and Sang Wook Lee, who both quit acting almost immediately after this film came out. I don't know why. I'm sure I could look into it, or you could at home if you want to. But there's one of my other most favorite films of all time uses that same tactic, and that is Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows. All the actors in that movie use their actual names, which is crazy considering Jeffrey Donovan from Burn Notice and Night Eye was in that movie. So anyway, Sanford, any thoughts on this?
I'm glad you brought up the Blair Witch, because just looking at this trailer, this is the Blair Witch. This movie is the Blair Witch in a building, though. According to the trailer, there are even shots from the Blair Witch in this trailer. So that's why I was like, oh, okay. Because the trailer doesn't make me want to watch the movie, because it's like, okay, so I've seen this movie before, I feel, because it just looks like most, like found footage, like horror movies. There's just more people in this one because, it's a Korean movie. Korean pop bands have to have like 12 people in them instead of like 4 people.
Very true. Very true.
So the trailer didn't hype me for this at all, unfortunately. But I'm not the horror guy. I'm especially not when you're talking about like modern horror movies. There's a whole bunch of jump scares and stuff. It doesn't really get my motor running.
That's exactly where my brain started to go.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like looking at this from our perspective as a trailer podcast, really, I was just filled with more questions. As a person who likes this sort of thing, Corey, did you see this trailer before you saw the movie?
No. So what led me to seeing this movie was I had stumbled across a list a few years ago that was like the top 10 scariest horror movies you've never heard of, and this was number 1 on that list, and the rest of that list was garbage. But that's what made me seek out this movie. I first rented it on Amazon, and then I had to eBay a copy from Korea, and then it got released in America like a month later, so I just got another copy in the English version.
Classic Corey.
Or with subtitles that are
yeah. Okay, see, because that makes sense to me. This isn't personally like my genre. I don't know how you can make a trailer for a type of movie like this to intrigue me personally, but I guess this trailer ticks the boxes, I imagine, for people who like this sort of thing, because it's like, okay, this is that type of movie, and like it's creepy and stuff, so I want to watch this movie. Nothing about the trailer looks unique to me, and that was the problem I had. That's just what was running through my head. I'm like, oh, this is the Blair Witch. This is the movie. There's the close-up shot. There's the shot of like the person like freaking out in the corner, and they're like, "Person, what are you doing?"
So
yeah.
when we had this idea for the hidden gems, I was like, "Oh, I love this movie. I'm gonna pick this movie." Having not seen the trailer at all. And then I picked the trailer, and while I was watching it, I was also like, oh, because I had just watched The Blair Witch like 2 days ago just for fun. And I was like, oh, damn. this is just Korean Blair Witch, isn't it? So I was like, whatever. Mikey, any thoughts?
Yeah. So definitely see the Blair Witch thing. I'm the type of person that would kind of give anything a chance. You know, I'm whether it be horror or whatever. The trailer itself definitely fits how horror trailers are, with definitely the big jump scare at the end. My thing is, though, as same with Matt, I was just it raised more questions. This movie has a lot of accolades and is praised to be a very good horror movie from a lot of people. I looked into Rotten Tomatoes, and they're on the Rotten Tomato meter. It has a 91% critic score and a 72% audience score. So, I mean, a lot of people did like this movie. And I was wondering, Corey, I mean, to try to separate it from Blair Witch, because the trailer doesn't seem to do it as much justice, it seems like. Like, my question is, like, what separates this movie, with as popular as it was in Korea and everything, and with the critic score, from Blair Witch? Is there, like, without giving anything away, I guess, is there some sort of twist? Is it just how it's shot? Is the story different? I mean, it probably is a little different, but, you know, the found footage films, in my opinion, it's like, usually they don't do well. At least they don't usually do as well in America. It kind of had its heyday a few years ago, and then now it's kind of dropped off again. But yeah, that's my question really, is does this separate itself from the other American versions that we have, that would make it a hidden gem, I guess, for people to watch?
So it definitely shares a lot of similarities. Like so let's take Heather Donahue as the main person in Blair Witch, and then we'll take actor whose name there's no way I could ever remember, who's the leader of this group. They're both going into this knowing full well, or thinking they know full well, that this is a haunted area they're going into, in hopes of, A, Heather wanted to make a documentary, and B, let's say Jung wanted to broadcast this. So their YouTube in Korea, or whatever version of that is, streamers. So they're streaming this whole thing live, and the main dude is in the tent outside of the building, and he sends these other 5 in to, like, mess with stuff. There are a lot of similarities, but something about it just stands out so much more. But I also could be super biased in the fact that I love the Blair Witch Project. So, like, something that has similarities to it strikes a chord with me anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it's just it's interesting to me that this film is as popular, I guess, in Korea as it is, being a found footage horror movie. Just because, like I said, I feel like the time for that, at least in the States, has kind of passed. But I could totally see with, film producers and stuff, they love taking South Korean horror and making American versions of it. I mean, it seems like, remember, like, it was big when, like, The Grudge happened and The Ring. I could see this maybe going the same way, where some American producer comes along and is like, oh, this is huge in Korea, let's try it out in the States. And I could see there might be a version of it with American actors one day. But for now, it just seems like maybe it is just that hidden gem in the horror movie world for people to find. So okay.
It's funny because this is the third most popular horror movie in Korea. First being Phone, which is, I think Phone is the Korean version of that English movie we hate.
Oh,
Pulse.
my God, no way. That movie
I'm almost positive it is.
With Kristen Bell in it?
No, it's not, because I saw that's not a Korean movie. That's a Japanese movie. I saw the original movie. That movie's called Cairo.
Oh, okay.
That's a Japanese movie that got turned into Pulse.
Pulse.
No, so
that
Phone
terrible.
is the Korean version of One Missed Call, which we also had in America.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the second most popular movie is A Tale of Two Sisters, which I think also has another version. It's just a crazy horror thing. So it's weird that those two are, like, legitimate horror films, and then the third ranking is this one, which is a found footage.
I think it's interesting, though, because it's like those top horror movies in South Korea were made into American versions, and this is one that is almost like it was the South Korean version of Blair Witch Project, if you think about it. So maybe they decided to take one of our ideas instead. So we have a little trade.
The
As far as I know, the Blair Witch was never like a real thing. Like, I think that was something that those guys just created in their heads.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And then just stuck it in some woods somewhere in America that actually exists. But this was based on a real thing.
You referenced Blair Witch Project 2 as well, and I was like, isn't that one like that one's just a regular horror produced horror movie? It's not found footage at all, which makes it kind of even more interesting that the characters would use their real names.
It does have them watching like security footage for part of the movie, but it's not a found footage movie.
Talking about Blair Witch Project brings me back to like before there were really memes, everyone did a parody of that scene in Blair Witch Project where her face is at the camera. I'm so scared right now. And then boom, like something happened. It was
This man is chasing me again!
I'm so scared right now. I just want to say to the family of my cameraman, Kenny, I am so sorry. This was my interview.
It was in everything. On every SNL thing, Mad TV did one, like everyone did it. It was such a that was like one of the first, I think, memes ever I remember.
Around that era, everyone did a Blair Witch parody in their movie, and everyone did a Matrix parody in their movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The Matrix is probably the most parodied movie ever made.
There's a black man sitting at a desk directly to your right. Look at him.
Morpheus?
Psych! It's Earl. I need your stapler. I can't find mine. Hello, dum-dum. Do you know who this is?
Jiggy, robot, do-si-do, and close with a matrix.
Oh! All right, Corey, just plug, I guess, where you can find this in streaming form or however you do. I mean, you know.
Now there is an idea. So you can catch this. For sure, you can rent it on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure that you can actually stream it. If you have Sling, you can watch it there. Vudu, you can rent it for $2.99. You can rent it on YouTube for $3.99. But other than that, it looks like it looks like it's streaming on Prime. So if you have Prime or Sling premium subscriptions, go check it out.
Cool. So let's move on to the next trailer here. Matt, this is your hidden gem. So why don't you set this up for us?
Yes. So I went a little different direction. This is a TV show, not a movie. Coming to you from the most depraved mind ever to come from Waukegan, Illinois. The show by multiple names. Sometimes it's called the Ray Bradbury Theater. Sometimes it's called Strange Tales, Ray Bradbury. What are you going to get when you watch it this week? Is it a story of doom and dread? Or is it a story about a writer who was mean to Ray Bradbury one time? You don't know. This is Strange Tales, Ray Bradbury.
One special night of chilling tales from the master storyteller, Ray Bradbury. First, the tale of an eccentric movie director.
Damn you to hell, I think I hate you. It's good.
He taunts an unsuspecting writer with a ghost story.
Spirits of women who roam the woods the night someone is to die.
What's wrong with you? But his story of the banshee becomes horribly real. And
there's a woman screaming! A screaming woman!
The tale of a small child with a big imagination.
What screaming woman?
She's buried.
There's only one problem.
Nobody believes me.
Then the tale of a man who thinks he may find paradise in a small town.
Who are you waiting for?
You?
20 years waiting for me.
Or someone like you. You know the only killing worth doing is one where they can't guess who did it.
Jeff Goldblum, Drew Barrymore, and Peter O'Toole in 3 chilling tales.
All right, everybody. That was Strange Tales, Ray Bradbury, or better known as the Ray Bradbury Theater. So this is an interesting show, and I really wanted to highlight it because it's weird, man. It's real weird. I'm going to call it the Ray Bradbury Theater because that's its original title. It debuted on HBO in the mid to late 80s. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone-esque sci-fi thriller horror sort of anthology series. And it started on HBO when HBO first started up. After a few seasons, it moved to the new USA network. And the show goes through various phases. It starts with very, very creepy episodes with some very recognizable people. In the trailer, we saw Peter O'Toole was in the Banshee. Drew Barrymore was in the Screaming Woman. Jeff Goldblum is in the third one, which it said the name in the trailer, and I can't remember it for some reason. But it also features William Shatner in an episode. And then the show got a little even more out there. Sometimes the episodes don't even seem to have plots necessarily when you first watch them. Like, oh, I met this girl and she really likes Laurel and Hardy too. Well, I like Laurel and Hardy. And then it becomes a really bizarre, horrific thing, like 2/3 of the way into the episode. It's very bizarre. And all of the stars dried up. But I just really enjoy the show. It's just very different than anything I had ever seen. And so, in a way, not every episode is good. I will say that. But I still consider it a hidden gem just because sometimes the most interesting experiences you have in watching movies and TV shows is off the beaten path. And this is off the beaten path. I found a random used DVD at a store, and I'm like, what is this? Jeff Goldblum's on the cover. Never heard of this. Like Ray Bradbury, like Fahrenheit 451, and I watched it, and it is that DVD is a cursed object. Let me tell you, like some of these episodes are just real bizarre, but that's why I felt it was important to highlight in our first Hidden Gems episode. Mike, I'm gonna popcorn to you. Do you have any thoughts watching this trailer?
Yeah. So I guess even before watching the trailer, when you sent this in the email and I read Ray Bradbury, and the first thing was Fahrenheit 451, and I'm like, what is this? And then, playing the trailer, seeing all these stars in it and everything, I was like, wow, this is like in a hidden gem sense, like there's so many stars in this. How have I never heard of this? It's kind of weird in the fact that you think of young Drew Barrymore and it's like E.T. and all the other little things she's done, and didn't know she did anything like this. Didn't know Jeff Goldblum did anything like this, so it was very surprising. I guess from looking into it, every episode, I don't know if it did on your DVD because it looks like these have been like in reruns on different networks, all this stuff. But I guess at the beginning of some of the episodes, Ray Bradbury himself intros stuff, and I thought that was interesting. Yeah. Like he'll have his little little monologue at the beginning. Does he do that in the DVD?
Yeah, instead of a theme song, the show starts with a monologue from Ray Bradbury, but it's 90% of the monologue is the same thing, and then after it starts the thing, he might say like a little intro that's a few lines as the episode is starting in. But really, the theme, where the theme song would normally go, is just Ray Bradbury saying, "I'm interested in things," and he's just walking through this weird house, going to his typewriter.
Somewhere in this room is an African veldt. Just beyond, perhaps, is a small Illinois town where I grew up. And I'm surrounded on every side by my magician's toy shop. I'll never starve here. I just look around, find what I need, and begin. I'm Ray Bradbury. And this is...
It was like reading that it made me think of, now I've never seen the Ray Bradbury stuff, but it made me think of when like Stan Lee in like the 80s superhero cartoons would always intro them. And Stanley has such a like an iconic voice that it brings me back to when I was a kid.
Greetings, true believers.
Yeah. So, but he would always do like a
wow, what'll
intro
Spider-Man get himself into now?
Yeah. It was great though.
And now, Mr. Marvel himself, Stan Lee. Hi, true believers.
So I was wondering if it was at least in the DVD or the version that you have, because that sounds pretty interesting. It's like, I don't know, shows don't do that anymore. Taking the actual creators of something and letting them have their little piece either at the beginning of it or whatever. Like nobody's put Stephen King, I think, in front of any of the big versions of his movies at the beginning, right? Like he might have a cameo, kind of like Stan Lee has cameos, but he doesn't like
even think in his TV versions they asked him about it.
Oh yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting you bring that up because I haven't seen. I can't think of a movie doing that. The most recent time I can think of a movie doing that, the movie's 7 years old now, and it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And it's Survival of the Dead, The Last of the Dead, George Romero movie.
I've never seen it. What happened? What is George Romero? George Romero's featured in it, I guess?
Yeah, at the beginning of the movie, and I don't know if the theatrical version of the movie had this, because I saw it on DVD.
Yeah, it was the DVD.
But he does this thing like, hey, like, I hope you'll enjoy this movie that I made. It is very scary, but I also wanted to make a comedy that's also very scary. And the whole time, like, there's these people. The intro is the best part of the movie. The whole time there's these people dressed as, like, there's extras dressed as zombies, like trying to kill George Romero, but they're killing themselves in slapstick comedy ways. You know, it's like, oh no, like he hit a ladder and then like a bucket of paint like fell on his head.
Like Three Stooges stuff in the background.
Yeah,
with zombies.
Yeah, kind of.
Yakety sax playing.
I mean, it's way more bloody than the Three Stooges, but yes.
Hi, I'm George Romero, and I can't wait for you to see my new film. It's called Survival of the Dead. We had a lot of fun making it, and it was...
But yeah, they don't do that much anymore in films, it seems. But yeah, I'm gonna popcorn over to Corey. What do you think?
I think I don't have anything to add that one of us hasn't already said. It just seems like this is one of those things where if you caught it late at night on just some random TV channel and you were sitting alone in the dark with a half-eaten bowl of popcorn and like half of an alcoholic beverage, you wouldn't think this was really happening. Like if you saw one of these, you'd just be like, no, this isn't real. I should probably go to bed because this isn't a real thing that's happening. Because the trailer, like, it felt like someone was playing someone else's dream for you to see. Like that's what it felt like. So I think it's super cool, but it'd definitely be cool to see more authors nowadays just be like, yeah, so I'm on HBO Max now, and this is Michael Crichton presents. We're gonna talk about weird stuff, and look at this, and then like, oh, there's Jermaine Clement, and Jack Black's in this one. And look out! I think that was Steve Zahn for a second. All right, see you next week. Like I think that'd just be a really fun thing, but it just seems definitely not the time and place anymore, which is a bummer. But yeah, I'm interested in this. Like if I can get my hands on eBay, like an eBay copy of this, I'm gonna actually. Why don't I look that up right now?
Speaking of which,
that's
Matt,
a theme song.
I don't know if you looked into it, but Corey looks like he's looking into it now. Is there any place that people can find this if they are interested to watch it?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about this is pretty much an abandoned IP. So you can actually watch a lot of these episodes for free on YouTube. Like nice. They're there. So you could really just type the Ray Bradbury Theater in on YouTube. I mean, they're not high quality. I don't know if they ever released high quality versions of this. I think maybe DVD quality, which I got, is probably the best you're gonna get. You could just find episodes of the show on YouTube for free. So,
or you could pay $25 for the Ray Bradbury Theater DVD collection, volumes 1 through 5, tin container, now with free shipping. I'm sending the picture to Fernandez to throw on the screen right now.
Ooh, you know how I love free shipping.
Apparently, you could also watch it for free with Amazon Prime. So, you get free shipping.
That's even
you get
better.
apparently an episode with Eugene Levy. So, what more could you want? Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, R.I.P.
Looks like Corey may need to re-up on that Amazon Prime. Other free things on YouTube, you can watch G-Men from Hell on YouTube for free.
You can also watch us for free. Oh! All right, start the next trailer.
Well, let's intro it here.
All right, Mike. The next trailer, the final trailer, I believe, is yours. So why don't you give us a sweet little intro?
All right. For my hidden gem, this is another one where you may want to keep your eyes on the screen. There is subtitles, but this the main thing of this movie is more about what your ears are gonna hear, more than watching subtitles. That was a dumb intro. Let's just get into the trailer.
What your ears are gonna hear.
Alla ta det lugnt!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Var är det? Jag har ett larm nere från stan.
Det ska finnas en metronom här inne. Hitta den.
Så ska ni veta att vissa saker är olagligt, men det kommer bli ett fantastiskt verk.
So that was my hidden gem pick for this episode. I love this movie. It's a Swedish-French comedy / crime film. A group of 6 anarchist drummers led by musician Sanna Persson and a conductor named Magnus set out to make music with objects that are generally considered non-musical. They planned out a concert with 4 humorously titled movements to be played across the city after carefully analyzing what objects can be used to make good music. Like I said, okay, so the drummers are treated like terrorists. So it's this cool like crime movie thing that they do where they take a lot of tropes from that. One of my favorite things is when they're getting all of the drummers together. It plays out kind of like, in this trope in movies like in Armageddon.
These guys get off this rig, they scatter. J. Otis Curleen Bear. Probably the only black man on a big dog in Kadoka, South Dakota.
Come and get Papa Bear!
Max.
You got a weight limit on the shuttle?
Max.
Hey, Mama!
Oh, that's so sweet, Max.
Hey, did you give me one of them yellow jelly bear claws?
Are you in trouble with the login?
No, Mama.
Max.
Or in Ocean's 11, I guess, when they're getting the team together and they each have to go and they find each guy and in what they're doing now and have to recruit them.
All right, who's in? Frank C. is in. Frank C. has developed a bad case of bronchitis and is putting in for a transfer to warmer climates. What about drivers?
I talked to the Malloys yesterday.
The Mormon twins?
They're both in Salt Lake City, 6 months off the job. Got the sense they're having trouble filling the hours.
And it's cool because it's like each one of these drummers, they don't fit in the conventional music world. One's playing as a wedding cover band, but the band gets mad at him because he just starts doing, going and doing his own thing on the drums. Another guy is playing in some crazy modern art band where the singer is dressed up like an alien and stuff, and he just gets fed up with it and kicks his drum set, and I believe you see that in the trailer. So it's cool that like this movie also pokes fun at how conventional music and the modern art world of how pretentious everyone is, and how everyone who in that world, in that art scene of classical music and composers, they think everything they're doing is so important, which I really like how it does that. And another thing, the detective in that trailer that's hunting them down, in probably the strongest bit of irony you could ever see. So at the beginning of the movie, it explains how that detective has a long lineage and family of famous composers and musicians in his family, but he was born tone deaf. So he becomes a cop instead, and his whole family, like there's scenes where he's like talking to his family or going at a family party, and they all look down on him because, he can't play music or anything. And so he's sick of it. And of course he is assigned to track down a band of rogue musicians that are terrorizing the city. But I wrote down that this movie is like Stomp meets Ocean's 11. If you guys remember Stomp from like the 90s, where they would use like brooms and stuff to make rhythmic music in a stage show.
Teddy, how about you? Put up your hands.
No, thank you.
I just gotta want a cake with somebody.
All right. Ow! I don't like it. I don't like it. Stop!
Keep your hands up.
I don't like it. I don't like this.
Keep them up!
Just stop! Just stop, Rob. I don't like it.
Don't lower your hands, Teddy.
You're scaring him. He's crying.
So this movie, where is it? Rotten Tomato meter on this one. 91% critic approval and 77% audience score. So there wasn't anything for Ray Bradbury. I looked for tomato meter for Ray Bradbury, couldn't find anything. The whole movie is portrayed like a heist movie. So even when the characters have to like figure out what instruments to play that are just objects in the world, they have to go and like you'll see footage of them like researching it like they would when they're staking out like in a heist movie and stuff. I think that's it. My other notes say that it reminded me of, if anyone's seen the movie Baby Driver, which is another movie that I love. Couldn't really put it in the hidden gem slot though, because it's a pretty popular movie. Everything in Baby Driver, if you rewatch it, is every movement and sound is almost deliberate to keep on with the rhythm of the song. And when you rewatch it, you'll see that, and a lot of the visuals are like that too, to relate to what music is going on. And I thought that was really cool. This isn't like that in that sense, but it's completely deliberate in the music that's going on. So yeah, interested to see what you guys think. Let's go with the person who I think is probably going to bash this first. So let's hear what you have to say, Corey.
Yeah, let's hear what you have to say, Sanford, you bashing piece of shit.
Hey.
So as you were talking about this, and you were like, and they make music with unconventional instruments, the whole time in my head I was just going, so it's just Stomp the movie, right? It's Stomp, it's Stomp, it's Stomp, it's Stomp, and then you said it, and I was like, okay. And then you were like, and it's got this scene where in movies they gotta go get the whole team together. And so then in my head I was thinking about, there's that Rick and Morty episode where they just make fun of that trope, like
Yes.
the whole episode.
Yeah.
So the whole time I'm just thinking, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Sanchez, you son of a bitch! Need some people for a thing, Blar.
Sanchez, you son of a bitch. I'm in.
Hey, Trucula! You son of a bitch! I'm in!
I don't know. This definitely seems like a fun time. Like, and the music in the trailer, I assume is just pulled straight from the movie itself. So it obviously has a great soundtrack. I don't know. Like, I don't have anything to bash about. It seems genuinely like a fun time. I know a lot of people have trouble getting past, like, especially, it feels like a lot more nowadays, at least, and it might be just purely the center of the world I'm in, but a lot more nowadays, people don't want to read subtitles as opposed
that's
to.
Where you live. That's where you live. Let me tick off people who live in the same country as me, but that's where you live.
Because, oh man, like I keep being like, oh, have you seen this movie? It's really good. Oh, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. And I go, oh, it's called this thing. And then they'll go, oh, that sounds kind of foreign. Does it have subtitles? And I go, yeah, it is foreign. It has subtitles. They're, oh, I'm not watching that. I hate reading. I was like, it's not reading. Movies are still happening.
and that's why we end up with Quarantine instead of Wreck and Elizabeth Banks' Picture instead
of A Tale of Two Sisters. Yeah. What the area I'm in? Get your shit together. Read a book. Don't read a book. See, like, that's the thing. I'm like the most anti-reading person, especially in the group. Like, so if I can get behind subtitled films, I don't see what anyone else's problem is. Yeah, this seems fun, Fernandez. I'm genuinely all about this pick. And when we get to the part where you'll tell us whether or not we can stream it anywhere, I'll definitely make sure to keep note of it. But I'll popcorn to Sanford and see what he has to say about this.
All right. Before I get into what I thought of the trailer, I just want to say you both touched on the trope of going to like get the gang together, but neither of you mentioned the Blues Brothers. That's the most musical version of that trope.
Oh yeah, I should. Yeah,
this movie.
That's a great.
And I'm like, oh, like in the Blues Brothers, another musical movie. Neither of you said the Blues Brothers. I'm saying the Blues Brothers.
Yep.
We're putting the band back together. We're putting the band back together.
Forget it. No way.
We're on a mission from God.
Yep. Fernandez.
No, this movie.
My bad.
This movie looks really interesting. What I really liked about the trailer, at the beginning of the trailer, do you guys know Elite Beat Agents, the video game?
Oh, yeah.
This movie, especially the beginning of the trailer, where it doesn't seem like there's any like drama to it. I'm like, oh, okay, that would be a very interesting movie, like Elite Beat Agents, the movie, but it's like a bank heist. So it's like they have to like do the thing, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like the cop that was coming crashed into a fire hydrant, but he's fine. We saw a cute dog, like because we did the beat thing on the thing and made the dog go. Like that would be an interesting movie. But no, the movie seems really interesting. I have seen Baby Driver. I haven't seen this movie, and I wasn't. And yeah, it does kind of have the same sort of vibe in a way, except of course Baby Driver is very much like it's synced up to background music most of the time, and on rare occasions the music hits the forefront. This movie appears to be like, well, the music is in the forefront most of the movie. But yeah, not much else to say. Seems pretty cool.
You can find Sound of Noise. The only place when I looking into it is, other than trying to hunt down a physical copy, the only place I could find it was Amazon. You can buy it for like $13 or rent it for like $3. So it's still a fun time. It is just really a fun movie. There isn't a crazy amount of really thinking involved. It's just it's just entertaining, and it's one of my favorite little like, hey, you want to see something cool? Check this out. And then they're, playing music on banging on a trash can, strumming on a street light.
Just like, oi, they're making music with the coffee pot. You ain't seen that. Get him.
Swedish and French. I believe it's in like Belgium. Just do that accent. That's fine though. So, in summation, check out Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Check out Ray Bradbury Theater or Strange Tales, Ray Bradbury, or I think there's another name for it.
Ray Bradbury Presents, right?
Yeah, that one. and then check out Sound of Noise. If you just don't know what to watch, and all these crazy streaming services are getting you down, and you don't know, and it's just too much to handle, why don't you take a recommendation from the Hype Train and expand your mind a little bit, read some subtitles. Won't hurt you. You'll be fine. Promise.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we had a blast riding this train with you. This is a very new and fun theme type of episode that I personally enjoyed. I think my two counterparts did as well. So let us know in the comments down below what your favorite hidden gem is, or favorite movie, or favorite book, or favorite TV show, anything that's your favorite. We'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Guys, it's still a pretty crazy time out there, so make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, or Gatorade, or Powerade, or whatever your liquid of choice is. Make sure you're eating right, eating 3 times a day.
Still open to sponsors, Gatorade and Powerade. Sponsorships are
Gatorade and Powerade. Or both. Or Corn Pops. Make sure you're eating plenty of Corn Pops throughout the day.
That will dehydrate you. Do not eat corn pops.
That's what we in the biz call a callback. So, guys, always remember to be good to yourself and be good to each other. For the hashtag Hype Train, I'm Corey.
I'm Mike.
God.
I'm Matt.
And we will catch you on the next ride. Choo-choo!
Don't eat corn pops.
I'm just saying, don't eat them.
Hydrate.